Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our iPad in Business Series webinar, iPad Productivity. Today we have Sheldon Brackett with us. Sheldon Brackett is a results-oriented technical professional with extensive experience in the effective management of information technology assets. He is skilled in analyzing information needs in systems, determining appropriate resources and processes, and implementing technology for enterprise-level and smaller projects. He has successfully implemented new systems, developed training programs, and enhanced existing systems with new features and performance improvements. He holds a degree in computer information systems and has been in the IT industry for 23 years in various positions that has helped to shape his broad views of technology. Upon graduating, he began his career working as a computer technician in the aerospace industry, which is where he received a solid foundation of personal computing. That position launched a career that included diverse responsibilities from database technical support engineer for a large software developer to information technology manager for the Los Angeles County Office of Education. He spent over half his career working in technology management roles, which increased his knowledge of systems and positioning technology. Currently, he runs a small business and is in the process of developing a technical training startup. Additionally, he teaches several Apple product seminars weekly in Mac Mall retail stores and does private consulting and training for Apple products. So before we get started and I hand it over to Sheldon, I'd like to just cover a few items. This event is going to be recorded, and the recording will be sent to you early next week. Also, there will be a question and answer session, so if you have any questions either during or after the presentation, please use the Q&A panel that can be found on the bottom right corner of your screen. If you have any issues with today's audio, please use our toll-free dial-in number. That number is 1-877-668-4493, and the access code is 646-051-016. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to hand it over to Sheldon. Please just hold with us while we get him on the line. Thank you.
Okay, Katie, can you hear me?
Yes, Sheldon, we can hear you.
Okay, all right, great. Good afternoon, good morning to some if you're on the West Coast.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I'm happy to be here today, and what we're going to do is go through some iPad productivity software that will basically help you and your business to create, to use, and to modify Word documents and create documents as well in the Pages, Keynote, and Numbers application. So if you can go ahead and go to the next slide, Katie. So our agenda.
Can you just do a quick test to make sure that people can hear you? Can you just say, like, can everyone hear Sheldon? Can you please write in the chat panel if you can? Thank you. All right, we're good.
We're good? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Our agenda today, we're just going to discuss Pages, Numbers, we're going to discuss Keynote, and we're going to talk about some iCloud implementation for all three of these apps. And then, as Katie talked about, I said earlier, we will have time for a question and answer period. Let's go to the next slide. So you can use your iPad to be actually super productive and use it to create, to modify, to read, to print Microsoft Office type documents. If you ever needed to do that when you're mobile, the iPad is an excellent tool to do that, and we're going to talk about these three applications are going to help you to do that rather easily. If you have a need to share those documents when you're out mobile, you can do that as well through these applications. And the Keynote, Numbers, and Pages application, which is offered by Apple, they're very intuitive pieces of software, and they allow you, to completely use the Microsoft Office documents. They're compatible, fully compatible with Microsoft Office. documents, and you can open them, create them, and do lots of more great things with them as well. Next slide. So if you haven't heard of it, Pages is the equivalent to Microsoft Word. Numbers would be the equivalent to the Microsoft Excel product, and Keynote would be the equivalent to the Microsoft PowerPoint. So all of these three applications, again, they allow you to create and export. That's how you would create the Microsoft versions of those documents, through an export in the application. They allow you to create those types of documents and allow you to modify and read them as well. So if you get one of those documents on your email or something of that nature, and you're on your iPad, you can easily open those documents up in the appropriate application, modify it, either email it back to the person or print it, or do whatever you need to do with it from that point. Next slide, please. Okay. I think I just duplicated the slide. Hold on, I'm going backwards here on my thing. Go this way. Sorry. Computer's a little. Okay. So the iPad versions for these applications are available in the App Store, and they're $9.99 each. So if you go to the App Store and you just type in either iWork, they will all appear, or you can type them in individually. You don't have to buy all three. You can just buy the ones that you need. These apps are also available for your MacBook Pro or your desktop computer, and they are $19.99, and they are available in the App Store there as well, which makes the applications a lot more compatible. If you're using a Pages document on your MacBook Air, you can, of course, share that document with your iPad, make changes, so on and so forth, from a mobile location, and get those documents completed or sent out to another location. Both versions are compatible for use with iCloud. Your iPad will basically, you have the option of automatically storing those documents in the cloud. We'll talk about that near the end, which makes it very easy to access those documents from any location. Or if you don't have your iPad with you and you need to access those documents that were created via your iPad, you can log into the iCloud panel and have access to those documents as well. Now, both of these versions, for your iPad and for your MacBook, they also create documents in their native format, meaning if you create a document in Pages, the extension would just be .pages. For numbers, and a Keynote presentation would be .keynote. So that is their native format. However, again, they do read the Word, the Excel, and the PowerPoint formats as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about Pages. Pages basically lets you create beautiful letters, reports, flyers, and more on your iPad. Also, the iOS version will work on your iPhone, your iPod Touch, and of course you can store all of these documents in the cloud. When you're working on Pages on the iPad, especially if you have the new iPad, the display is just incredible, and you get a rich, crisp display showing all of your text very nicely, and if you're adding any graphics or pictures or things in your document, they show up very well also. Next slide, please. So when you go into Pages and you start it, Apple has provided already 16 templates that help you get started in creating any of your documents for Pages. And I have a few screenshots that we're going to be looking at that will show you what these templates are and where they are. But some of the templates are flyers and posters. You have sample letters, resumes, you have reports, you have invitations, and you have a few more options that are available there as well. When you're working on your iPad, Pages is all multi-touch, so you can tap and you type to do different things. With your iPad, if you have iOS 5 or later, you can split the keyboard, so those of you that type with your thumbs, You can use that feature to type a lot faster. You can also, of course, move your keyboard up and down in Pages as well. That's an iOS 5 feature, which actually helps you to navigate through your document and type it a lot faster. On the side, there's a navigator that can show you the thumbnail of every page, and you can quickly move through the document if necessary, just with the touch of your finger. Next slide, please. So what we're looking at right now, this is actually a screenshot of what Pages will look like on your iPad. So when you start the application, you'll come up to a screen, which I have another shot of a little bit later. Once you tap the plus sign, which means to create a document, it gives you the option to choose a template. And so what we're looking at here are basically a quick shot of the templates that are available. You have a blank template, a modern photo letter, so on and so forth. So if you were to select any of these templates, it basically has text and photos, depending on what you select, in particular placeholders. So you basically can tap where those placeholders are and then begin to type in your appropriate text for you. It's basically already formatted, and it gives you an easy way to get started to create some common documents that most people use. Of course, you see there at the top left-hand corner, there is a blank option. So if you wanted to create a blank document and add your own text and format it the way that you want, you can do that as well. Next slide, please. So Pages, it says that your writing looks great from the start with the default styles in every template, but once we look at the next few slides, you will see the ruler where you can tap on the ruler and you can change basically the styles of your text and formatting and things of that nature. You can change things in the body, you can change captions. It really is a full-featured editor on your iPad that allows you to do multiple things with your text and graphics and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. So here we are, we're in a document, and if we notice at the top, we see the Documents button there. If we were to tap that button, that would just take us back to our initial screen where we could see all of our documents placed on the iPad. Next to that, we have an Undo button, which, of course, is pretty self-explanatory. If you commit an action and you want to undo it, you can tap that button. And it has an unlimited undo feature, so you can actually undo all the way back to the creation of your document. If you tap and hold undo, it gives you the option to undo or to redo. So if you undo something that you did that by mistake and you want to redo that action and place it back on the document, you would tap and hold undo and then select redo. On the ruler here, we're seeing that you have the option to easily customize your fonts. You see the Helvetica button there on the ruler down towards the bottom of the slide. You also see right next to that you have different font sizes where you have the A, the 12, and then you have a larger A. Next to that, you have character styles, which you have bold, italicize, and underline. And then you have right next to that the ability to align your text, whether you want it centered, left block, or right block, so on and so forth. Up in the middle, right underneath the time where it says 10:34 p.m., we have, that would actually be the name of your document, which you would name on the initial screen, and we have some other shots of that as well that we'll go through that also. Moving over towards the right, we have a paintbrush, which is styles. Then we have the plus sign, which allows you to add your media. And then the wrench is basically your settings, and I have a few slides in here which will show us what those options are as well. Okay, next slide, please, Katie. Okay, so here we are now. We've basically selected one of those templates, the project proposal template, and we can see it says executive summary. So now that I'm in the document, I can begin to change some of the styles of some of the text that's in there. Again, by tapping on the paintbrush there, it brings up a sub-menu that gives us a style option as well with more font options, or not necessarily more, but an additional place in which you can adjust your font options. You see you can do the same thing in terms of your bold, italicized, underline. You have a strike-through option there as well on this menu, which is not available directly on the ruler. Then you have paragraph styles, your center, your bold, your left, and your right as well. Right underneath that, if we were to scroll down where it says title, it gives us multiple options to select for our titles, whether we want them bold, whether we want them tabbed, or different font sizes. There's basically a lot of preset options there, which allow you to quickly change your text for your paragraph style. You can also see that whenever you tap in the body of a document, your keyboard will appear. This will then give you the option, of course, which I explained earlier, to either split your keyboard or to move it if you have iOS 5. If you were going to split the keyboard, the button on the bottom right hand of the keyboard that has a picture of a keyboard and a little arrow pointing down, you would tap there, and that would give the option to split and to undock your keyboard. Now let's go to the next slide, please. So after styles, basically you have the option for lists. You can have bullets, you can have letters, and you can have numbered options for your list in your document. And we see that you have an option there on the top to either increase the indentation or decrease the indentation of any of those options that you select. If we go to the next slide, then we have an option for our layout. You can actually select text, paragraphs of text, and change them to columns by selecting the column button there. Right now we just have one column. You can add multiple columns in the document very easily. You can also adjust your line spacing if you're doing something where you need a 1.5 line spacing. You would select that in this location as well. So under the styles, the paintbrush option, you get the ability to adjust your styles of your text in the document.
Sheldon, we need to hold on a second. People are saying they lost audio.
Okay.
Okay, start talking again. Can anyone hear?
Okay. Can anyone hear me now?
All right. If you lose audio, you may need to use the call-in number. If you lose audio, it might be the connection that you're on if you're on a Wi-Fi connection. But otherwise, we should be okay. All right, Sheldon, continue. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. So let's go to the which slide are we on right now? Did we go to the next slide? Are we looking at whoops, let me go back here. Are we looking at pages? Pages. Okay. If you go to the slide that says pages isn't just about writing.
Got it.
Okay, great. So this talks a little bit, this gives you some bullet points on, it's not just about writing, it's great for graphics also. So you can, again, the plus sign, which we'll go through and see the slides after this, will allow you to insert media from your iPad. You have full access to your photos that you snapped and taken with your iPad or through PhotoStream, which is an iCloud feature. You also have the ability to insert any movies in your document, which again will be taken with your camera. You also have the ability to apply different filters and maps to your images and frames and photos and things of that nature. You can also add some really cool 3D charts and graphs in your document, which helps you to illustrate your points if you're making any type of a presentation. And I think I have a couple slides of that as well. One of the great features with Pages is that it automatically saves your work. If anyone has Lion, they're using Lion, then you know that was one of the features that comes with Lion. There's an auto-save feature in there. But working on your iPad, it works exactly the same way. Once you are done with your document, you can move on to another application or close the document. It's automatically saved. And if your iPad is connected to a Wi-Fi at that time, it will automatically go ahead and upload the changes to your document to the cloud if you have that enabled, and you'll have a version of that stored in the cloud as well. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Katie. Okay, so here we are in that project proposal again, and now I've basically just tapped on the plus sign there. When we bring up, tap that option, it brings up the menu, which gives us options for our media. And we see that we have the ability to access things from our camera roll, which is on our iPad. We have the ability to access PhotoStream, again, which is an iCloud feature. I also happen to have iPhoto, the application which you purchase, separate from the basic photo application on your iPad. I have iPhoto on my iPad, so I have access to my photo library as well. And then I have access to multiple albums that have been created. So if you wanted to select something from these, of course, you'd just scroll down to the appropriate section. Go ahead and tap the section there, and it'll open up those photos and allow you to paste that photo into your document, wherever your cursor is located. So let's go to the next slide. The next slide basically gives us the ability to insert tables into our document. So if you need to display any type of data in any format, this is basically the place to do it. You would go inside in here and you tap and select your table format. It would place that into your document. Now, if you look at the very bottom of the tables menu, you see 6 dots there. That just means that there's 6 additional or 5 additional screens with different table types there. So you could just take your finger and swipe to the left and to the right and see what the additional table options are. Once your table is inserted into your document, then you basically can adjust it and modify it. You can add rows and add columns. You can do all those types of things to your table just as you would in an editor on your computer. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. Next slide. So the next slide basically has charts. So you can see you have a variety of charts. You have some bar charts and some pie charts and graphs and things of that nature here. You also have the ability to do 2D or 3D charts. And I tell you, the 3D charts are absolutely stunning. You have great control over that. You can link those charts, of course, to the table, which you would have selected previous to this, and have that data from that table correspond to the chart. And again, if you look at the bottom there, you have 6 different screens, which gives you charts in different colors. It's pretty much the same charts, we just have different colors and different styles for the charts. We can go to the next slide. The next slide basically gives us the shapes. So you can add shapes to your document, and you can see they're pretty self-explanatory here. You select what you want, and it adds it into your document. And if you look on the bottom of this screen as well, you have the 6 different options as well. They're basically the same shapes, but they come in a variety of colors. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So this slide is basically looking at, once we've selected a photo has been inserted into the document, and if we double tap that photo and select it, and then we go to the styles, the paintbrush option. Before we were looking at inserting media, and initially when we tapped the paintbrush option, we were looking at text. But when you select a photo, you get a different set of menus and options there. So this is giving me different options for my photo. If you can look at it pretty closely, each of the 6 photos there, you have different styles. Some of them have a white border, some of them are shaded, some of them are recessed. So this is basically where you can come in and modify or apply a style to the photo or the graphic that you've placed in your document. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Once you touch the style option, which was on the bottom of that last slide, it basically brings you to this option, this screen here, where you can add a border if you have border on or not. You basically can customize your border if you want one. You can customize the color and the width of the border as well. And we just have a solid border there with a check mark next to it. Of course, you can take your finger and scroll down, and there are a few more options that are available for you to modify or adjust the border for your graphic. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So then the next slide basically has effects. So you can either turn a shadow or a reflection on for your graphic. And then you have opacity there. So this is a great place if you wanted to do something like a watermark. You can create a watermark that says draft or sample or something of that nature, a graphic or a document. And then you can add that to your document, and you just change the opacity so that it looks relatively faint in the background. and that way it looks like an actual draft of a document. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So if you were to do that and you have multiple images on your document, particularly if you wanted to do something like a watermark, then you could move those items, selected items, to the front and the back. You have full control over which items you see are the way they're layered in the document, and this is where you would make those changes to those things. You see, you can also have the ability to flip the document, or the graphic, vertically or horizontally, and then you have the ability to change the wrap features. If you have text around your document, by touching the wrap option there, you can set it to above, below, around. I think there's 3 to 4 different options there. As you move your graphic, you will actually see how it's set around the text. And if it's something that you don't like, then you just come back here to the paintbrush, you go into your style, advanced styles, and then you have the option to change that there. Okay, let's go ahead and go to our next slide. So now we're going to talk about numbers. So numbers basically very similar to pages, except it's for spreadsheets, and you have a few different options, quite a few different options that are available that are not available in your Pages application. Again, numbers works just like Pages. It keeps all of your documents stored in the cloud if you like, and it updates those documents across your iOS devices if you need to have access to them from your iPhone or your iPod Touch or something of that nature. Once you've created it on your iPad and saved it in the iCloud, it will push those out to those devices. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So the immediate thing that you'll notice about Pages, Numbers, and Keynote is that they're all pretty much identical in their interface. Looking at this slide, if we compare this to the Pages screenshot, up at the top, we had at the top left-hand corner, we see spreadsheets, where in Pages it said documents. We see we have the same undo option there. We have the name of our document in the middle of the screen, class sheet, and then we have the same options over on the right, your paintbrush, your media selection, and then the settings, which are the tools. Some of the differences are, of course, this is a spreadsheet, so we notice at the top we have a tab which says Class Today, which is showing us our simple spreadsheet that I just created. And then we have the plus sign there. If we were to tap that, it would give us the ability to either add another sheet, or there's a really cool feature in Keynote, Numbers, that will allow you to create a form for data entry based on the sheet that you've created. And it's actually really simple to do, and I have a couple shots to show that. But it's really a cool way just to do data entry without having to touch in multiple cells if you have a really large spreadsheet. Here on the bottom of this, we can see I actually just popped in a 3D pie chart, which is really cool. Once you pop your charts in, you have the ability to select different segments of the chart and move them in or out, and I just highlighted that 14% segment there. And this chart, again, is related to my table there. You also have the ability to rotate that chart in 360-degree angles, so you can get multiple views for that chart. And it's really a sweet process, and it gives you a lot of life to your document that you're creating. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide.